Football is the single most celebrated sport in the world. But in Brazil, it's more than a sport, it's a religion. For decades, football, specifically the world game, has been the focal point of the lives of many Brazilians, if not of Brazilian culture itself. From the brilliant teams of the 60s and 70s led by Pelé, the greatest footballer ever to grace the pitch, to the teams of the 90s, with Ronaldo and Romario mesmerizing the world, Brazil have remained one of the most dominant forces on the planet. But, as it always does, age has caught up with many stars from the previous two World Cup sides. And now, Brazil find themselves at a crossroads. They're searching for their next star, their next hero. Another player who dribbled the ball into a sea of defenders and somehow retained possession. A player who can exquisitely place a pass to a spot that only his own teammate can latch onto. A player who can make the seemingly impossible shot appear possible, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. And it seems that once again, Brazil have found that special player. His name, Ronaldo de Assis Moreira. His destiny, to be the next crown prince of Brazilian football. Ronaldinho Gaucho, as he's called, was born in Porto Alegre, the capital of Rio Grande do Sul, Brazil's southernmost state. Porto Alegre is a beautiful, vibrant city, located on the banks of the Guaíba River, and has served for years as a mecca for many of Brazil's most influential politicians, statesmen, and intellectuals. Porto Alegre is perhaps best known for, and has been personalized by, Gaucho, a legendary cowboy figure who has come to be identified as a symbol of strength, resistance, and courage throughout Brazil. Its favorite son, Ronaldinho, has taken on the name Gaucho and wears it proudly in his effort to become the next in a long line of world-renowned Brazilian attackers.
In my family, my brother plays soccer. I had uncles who played, as well as my father. It's in our blood. Since I was young, my first birthday gift was a soccer ball. Then came the soccer shoes. And I always liked Grêmio, so since I was young, I asked to play at Grêmio.
It all started when Ronaldinho's father gave him a football on his first birthday. At that moment, Ronaldinho seemed to lose interest in everything else, and would soon devote his life to the game that had captivated him at such a young age, spurred on by a family that supported him every step of the way.
The first person to bet on him was his father. He always praised him and noticed he would become a good soccer player. It is too bad he couldn't live to enjoy all this.
As a young boy, Ronaldinho would visit the Olímpico Stadium to watch training sessions of his favorite professional football team, Grêmio Porto Alegrense. His older brother Assis played for Grêmio, giving Ronaldinho free access to the pitch, the equipment, the players, and the coaching, which would all play major roles in his development as a footballer.
I had great coaches here at Grêmio. Each of them taught me something. I always tried to play hard and listen to my coaches, and I think that was very important and very good.
Ronaldinho's natural ability was evident by the time he was 6 years old. His dribbling techniques far superior to those of boys nearly twice his age. He would frequently put on displays of juggling that would have Grêmio's technical staff licking their chops at what this youngster might have in store for the football world.
Since I was young, I always liked to play with the ball. I have a gift, I guess, because since I was 7, I was always with the ball. I would sleep with the ball and wake up with the ball.
At the age of 7, Ronaldinho was invited to play at the Grêmio Porto Alegrense Young Talent Football School. It was here that Ronaldinho developed his enormous potential and refined his mastery of the game of football. Grêmio became a second home to him, and football would replace his late father as one of the most important influences in his life.
I always lived here. I was born in Porto Alegre. Up to when I was 7, I did not play ball, but when I turned 7, I came to Grêmio. So I went through the different age groups and categories, leading to the pro team. It's been over 10 years that I am with Grêmio. It's become my second home.
Futebol sempre foi primeiro lugar para ele.
Soccer was always his first priority, but he never had much time to play around with his friends in the streets. When he was 7, he went to a soccer school, and from then on, he dedicated his life to soccer.
Só dedicado mesmo ao futebol.
Ronaldinho and Grêmio were a match made in heaven. A boy living out his childhood dream of playing for his favourite club. A provincial Brazilian team lucky enough to have this budding young superstar wear the club colours. Ronaldinho knew what he wanted to do with his life from the moment he stepped onto the field at Grêmio, oftentimes making sacrifices, mostly his studies, to realise a dream.
I always pushed him to do his homework, but he would say, "Teacher, I want to be a soccer player."
When he first got to our school, there were very high expectations, and everyone was curious because he was a cis brother. And the first thing he did was to play soccer. We had a field here, and then he started to show us his potential.
Ronaldinho's love for football was really quite worrisome for his mother, but she didn't know what to do about it. Nothing seemed to work. Her son had made up his mind about the direction his life would take, and there was no changing it.
There was a time I used to work, Ronaldo would go to school, I would go to work and would be back at lunchtime. Ronaldo went to school and was also back, and a certain day I got a call from the owner of a snack shop and he said, "Mrs., I have something to tell you, but don't tell Ronaldo I told you." I said, "Okay, I won't tell," but I was a bit scared. The thing is, Ronaldo comes here every day during school time, waits for his friends and goes to the field to play soccer, going to school, which is what he should be doing. Not a chance. Then I grounded him, and after that he started going to school more frequently.
But Ronaldinho kept meeting with success after success on the football field, and this made it easier for his mother to deal with. Ronaldinho was invited to play for the Brazilian national team in every single age division in which he was eligible to compete, sparking strong Brazilian youth squads to many international titles along the way.
Com 17 anos fui campeão gaúcho, campeão brasileiro.
When I was 17, I was state champion, national champion, South American champion, and world champion. So 1997 was a really special year for me. It was then that I became more known within Grêmio, and in the following year, I was already playing the professional team.
No outro ano eu já fui pro profissional.
In 1997, Ronaldinho was invited to play for the Brazilian under-17 side that would storm through the South American Championship on its way to the under-17 World Cup. During the South American Championship, Ronaldinho displayed his talent in an international context for the first time. He stole the show, ending as the tournament's top scorer while guiding Brazil to the title. Later that same year, Brazil powered their way through a field of the best national youth teams in the world on their way to setting up a showdown between themselves and defending champions Ghana in the final of the Under-17 World Cup held in Egypt.
Era título inédito onde o Brasil nunca tinha ganho, né?
It was a title Brazil didn't have, and we were the champions. It was great for us. Nobody believed we could beat Ghana, and we did it, and we got the title. He helped me, and it was an important step for me to become a professional at Grêmio.
Me ajudou, deu passo muito grande para mim chegar a ser profissional do Grêmio.
In that game, Ghana took an early lead. But in the second half, Ronaldinho would once again show why he was beginning to be considered the best youth footballer in the world. With a combination of speed and dribbling, Ronaldinho created 2 scoring opportunities in the second half of the game, which would ultimately clinch things for the Brazilians. It was a great moment in the history of Brazilian football and a defining moment in the career of Ronaldinho. On the 18th of January 1998, Ronaldinho participated in his first game as a professional, playing for Grêmio against Porto Alegre. In 1999, Grêmio won the Rio Grande do Sul State Championship, as well as the Copa Sul, due in great part to the fabulous playmaking ability of their hometown hero. And in doing so, Ronaldinho attracted the attention of Vanderlei Luxemburgo, the Brazilian national coach. Later that year, Luxemburgo would invite Ronaldinho to join the team as they prepared for the Copa América.
Não esperava ser convocado, né? Mas como Edilson.
I didn't expect to be selected, but since Edilson was cut, He called me, and I'm grateful that Edilson was cut. For me, it was great. It gave me an opportunity, and in the first game I was in, the first time I touched the ball, I kicked the ball over the defender's head and scored a goal. It was destiny, and it worked out well. Now I have to keep working hard to make things happen.
Acabou dando certo, então agora é continuar dando sequência no trabalho.
It was a shock. His first call to the national team. When he became a star overnight, I was shocked. I was here at home, then somebody called and told me Ronaldo was called. I asked, called? Where? Why? For what? Then people started calling and Ronaldo wasn't home. He was at a show. And I called him and I asked him if he knew anything. He said, I am here just as you are, and they just told me what happened. But he was very happy and it was great.
Mas estava feliz e foi muito bom.
Although the Brazilian side had many stars in its squad, including two recipients of FIFA's World Player of the Year award, Ronaldo and Rivaldo, it was nonetheless Ronaldinho who stole the show. Ronaldinho didn't slowly work his way into the starting lineup of the Brazilian national team, but instead, in typical fashion, burst onto the scene, scoring a goal just 15 minutes into his international debut. It came against Venezuela in the 1999 Copa America. Granted, the goal came against a beaten down and heavily overmatched Venezuelan squad, but it was spectacular nonetheless. Gathering the ball with ruthless ease, Ronaldinho flicked the ball over the head of a charging defender and scored the tournament's most electrifying goal.
Cafu passed me the ball, I controlled the ball with my thigh, then kicked it over the defender's head, controlled the ball again, and scored the goal.
With that goal, Ronaldinho became an overnight sensation, and with each of his 4 ensuing strikes, his celebrity status would rise. Brazil went on to win the Copa America, and again Ronaldinho received honours as the top goal scorer in the tournament. Later that year, Ronaldinho accompanied the national team to Mexico City for the Confederations Cup. For his 4th straight international competition dating back to his youth football days, Ronaldinho earned top scorer honours and winning the Golden Shoe Award. But this time he would also take home the Golden Ball, which is presented to the tournament's most outstanding player. Although Brazil finished a disappointing second to Mexico, Ronaldinho had further established himself as the future of Brazilian football.
To be called to the national team is great. I'm very happy to be called. I'm just thinking of practicing hard and play well the pre-Olympic competition.
So far, the year 2000 has done nothing to slow down Ronaldinho, but has in fact thrust him deeper into the international mix. In the Olympic qualifiers, Ronaldinho helped ensure Brazil's participation at the 2000 Sydney Olympics by scoring a whopping 9 goals in only 7 matches. In qualifying, Brazil put themselves in a position to win the Olympic gold medal, the only major international title that has eluded them throughout their storied history of international competition.
The whole team is doing well, and we have to take advantage of the goal opportunities created by our team so that we are able to help scoring.
Unfortunately for Ronaldinho and his mates, Brazil were unable to reach the last 4, despite being heavy favourites going into the event. Ronaldinho has been winning football matches and scoring championship-clinching goals for as long as he can remember. But this isn't the only quality that distinguishes him from his predecessors. Ronaldinho has also been winning friends and admirers worldwide with his adolescent smile and his gentlemanly behaviour both on and off the park. Football fans, managers, referees, and even his opponents can't help but like the young man from Porto Alegre, his engaging personality and his sincerity seeming to disarm all who come into contact with him.
He's a very special character. He's a very nice guy. He plays with a smile on his face. He's a boy, very well oriented by his family, very well structured, which is very important. And I think that since he's only 20, he will have probably another 12, 14 years of soccer ahead of him, and he will probably become one of the best players in the world. I can define Ronaldinho with a sentence from the journalist Armando Nogueira. The good soccer player sees what's going on. The best players see things before they happen. Ronaldinho is one of these best players. One of the greatest satisfactions and one of the best newcomers of our state. I had the opportunity to referee many of his matches, some even when he was a junior at Grêmio. He's very humble, he's a fair player that plays joyfully, and is a great soccer player and human being.
As an antidote to the rigors of professional football, Ronaldinho likes to relax, taking long walks along the Guaíba River, a meeting point for football aficionados, and he loves to put together friendly beach soccer matches with his childhood friends.
This is very close to my home. Here I feel at home. I know everyone here and everyone knows me. Almost every day after practice, I come here. My neighbors are always playing soccer here. Everybody that I know comes here. This is where we all meet up to chat.
In this modern sporting world where opulence and extravagance are the norm, Ronaldinho is a refreshing reminder that not all sportsmen are caught up in their own success. In fact, Ronaldinho has managed to keep everything in proper focus. Even as a major international star, he still lives at home with his mother and his sister Daisy. The same home in which they've been living for the last 13 years.
He is very pampered. Our neighbors know him since he was a small boy. We've lived here for 13 years. Everyone looks after him.
His success is no surprise to us. He's always humble, and that is very important. We are good friends, and nothing changed with his success. He is a success we are always cheering for. We want him to grow.
Armed with his trademark smile, Ronaldinho is always willing to spend time with kids. And occasionally, he's even willing to take on a different role on the pitch. Always looking to help children, Ronaldinho committed to referee a friendly match between Grêmio's young talent team and a local side from Osorio, a city about 60 miles from Porto Alegre.
Soccer is always granting me opportunities to do good things. I'm happy for that, and this afternoon is an example of it. He gave too many faults to Mauricio. I didn't touch anybody. It is very hard to be a referee. The rules in general, nobody really understands the referee. For me, it's much easier to play.
Ronaldinho still has a great deal of respect for the town in which he was raised, as well as for the people he admired and aspired to emulate. As his fame grew, so too did the inevitable comparisons to his idols, the great Pelé, and a man who has since become one of his closest friends and sources of inspiration, Brazilian national teammate Ronaldo.
Eu sempre tive muito contato com o Ronaldo, né? Então.
I always had a lot of contact with Ronaldo. We always talked a lot with each other. He always gave me advices. From a very young age, he was already world famous. He always gave me some tips and advices. I believe I won't have any problems, and I hope to be world famous one day and to become a great player as he is.
Conhecido mundialmente e ser grande jogador como ele é.
Another challenge awaits Ronaldinho, this time off the park. Ronaldinho was chosen by UNESCO to represent them in the quest for peace by naming him the UNESCO Sportsman for Peace, an offer he was quick to accept.
Help us promote this very important and difficult concept, which is no violence in building peace. I hope I can keep going like this, giving good examples to the young kids who want to become soccer players or just someone in life. I just have to be myself to give a good example.
Things will soon be changing for the young Brazilian star, as Grêmio have had inquiries from many teams anxious for his services. Having received offers of over $60 million, in all likelihood Grêmio will sell Ronaldinho at some stage. Chances are he'll end up playing in one of the most fiercely competitive European leagues.
A gente não sabe o que vai acontecer futuramente.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I could come to play in Europe. Maybe I won't ever leave Grêmio. I don't even know what I'm going to have for dinner. But I hope I can stay at Grêmio. I feel very comfortable here. But nobody knows what's going to happen. But I hope I can stay here. I was born here, my family is here, I feel at home here. I play for Grêmio since I was 7.
But don't expect that to change Ronaldinho in the slightest. He vows to keep everything in the correct focus.
Não mudou nada, ele continua
Nothing
fazendo
changed.
as coisas que ele
He
gosta,
still
ele
does
vai
the
pro
things he
shopping,
likes. He goes to the
ele
mall,
sai,
he
anda
goes for
a pé,
walks around the
vai
neighborhood,
aqui no bairro
goes to the
mesmo,
snack bar to buy
volta
ice
vai no
cream.
bar pra comprar
Everything is the
picolé,
same.
ele continua a mesma coisa.
Coming from a family of footballers, Ronaldinho is already preparing a successor, as he's not about to let the tradition stop here.
Meu pai falava que eu seria o craque, né? Mas
My dad always said I was going to be the best. But I think the best will be Diego, my nephew. You can write down his name. He'll be the one for the future. My brother and I are just average players. He'll be the one to watch.
eu acho que ele vai ser o craque da família.
In a sports world where the lead story is all too often a negative one, it's refreshing to see a young man with such enormous talent, yet humble and grateful to those who helped him develop it. His strength on the field can at least partially be attributed to his strength of character off it. But his mother always knew that her son would turn out fine, whether it was playing football or attacking something else with the same strength and fervour that she first noticed the day his father presented him with his first ball.